It's time for the news.
Another UFO sighting has taken place.
The leather's made out of cardboard.
The number you have dialed is in an alternate dimension.
Welcome back to Weird Week. Jack DeMont here. We got Daniel Kim and Hector. Let me get it. Hector. Is it start with a C?
It starts with a C.
Pasta? No. Is it pasta?
I can change my name for the pod. I'll take one for the
Cantaloupe.
Cantaloupe.
It is Hector Cantaloupe.
What was it again?
Chacon. Yeah.
Pasta.
No, cantaloupe has a nice ring to it, though.
Exactly. I kind of like it myself.
My sister used to call one of my dad's old friends Cantaloupe because his name was Angelo, and she was still a baby, and she loved cantaloupe, and she at first she couldn't say Angelo, she only said cantaloupe, and then it became a thing though where she was like, oh no, I don't know how to say Angelo.
Yeah, for you kids, they ruin your name, and that's your name forever. Darn kids.
Like me chanting Daniel Kim, and now anytime I say your name, it's either just DK or your full name. It's never just Daniel.
I have noticed that too. Hey, Daniel Kim.
Daniel Kim. Yeah, you missed. The way we all know each other is essentially you and I both have worked with Daniel Kim in the past. Right. And that was like our co-workership in the past at J Crew was me being like, every time I'd walk in and he was there, I'd be like, Daniel Kim, and he would just like laugh to himself in the back. But it was funny because there was once our manager, she like heard me do it enough that she did it, and Daniel came up to me afterwards and was like, bro, it's not okay that she did it. That's like
that's
thing.
So dirty.
I was like, it's your name, like it's your full name, like she can't call you your name. And he's like, no, it's the way she did it. It's the way she did it. And it's true, she totally mimicked the way I do it. She was like, Daniel Kim, and he was like, no. No. But he didn't say that to her, he had to keep his job.
Which is fine.
Yeah,
it's fine.
All right, guys, let's move on into the news. Since the weekend, we have an update on the submarine that sunk down to visit the Titanic. I think the occupants that were on it were the CEO of the company, OceanGate, was the one like expert on the boat. The second, or then next were the there was a British explorer. There was a Titanic expert. I assume he was American just because they like listed all of the people's where they were from except for the CEO and the Titanic expert. But the Titanic expert, I don't think was like an OceanGate expert. I think he was specifically a Titanic expert trying to just get his first like look at the Titanic.
A Titanic expert, like he's very knowledgeable about the history of the Titanic, or
I think so. Like he knows, all of the ins and outs of how of what it was, how it was made, everything, and how.
What a strange title! Yeah, put there on my card, Titanic expert. It's like, okay, I'll call you when I need advice on the Titanic.
Yeah,
you have nothing else, like a historian or something. They put it general, so I can come to you for other things too.
It's
we'll run
it's
with
one
Titanic
of those
expert.
types of things where it's like if you're that good, then you have something like to offer, and and people are going to probably want your services because you literally are called the Titanic. Like
so when this event happened, he was like, your time to
My
shine.
time.
Well,
I was
you-
waiting for this moment, and it's
I-
finally come.
It's happening, Deborah. It's happening.
Exactly. We have our Titanic expert on the line, but he's like sitting there, be like, "Yes, don't screw this up."
oh, just collided into an iceberg. Perfect. I'm ready, babe. No, but I see a lot of people with those kinds of like weird expert titles in like documentaries, docu-series and things like that, where it's like if it's a Titanic docu-series, then they have a Titanic expert on, that
Mhm.
kind of thing. And I did wonder for the longest time how you get those kinds of titles, because I low-key wanted to be like a Greek mythology expert and be able to talk about Greek mythology and stupid shit like that. And I never really figured out, because I was like, there's no uh n- at least not a lot of like degrees studying just Greek mythology. You have to be like a history major and then eventually somehow like really narrow your field down and stuff like that. But it really comes down to just you putting in the work. Like, yes, do like become like a history major or something like that. But when you have to like narrow it down and whatnot, that just comes down to like being a history major that got obsessed with the Titanic. And he just really that's all he looked into for a long time. And then it's like you really can't question the guy if he's a Titanic expert or not. He's going to answer all the questions way better than anybody else you know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not. I mean, whatever makes him happy. I'm not saying like it's just I've never met a Titanic expert before.
No.
Yeah.
I've never met any of those kinds of experts in real life. The ones that claim that they're an expert of some very, very niche thing.
Yeah.
But the submarine also had the British explorer, and I believe it was Pakistani businessman and his son. And yeah, they imploded, as far as we can tell. That's what the claims are. There's
Which is like,
conspiracy theorists out there that'll say there's other things.
I've heard some of those, but I mean, the implosion, it's the second best thing that could have happened. Obviously, the first being like they were rescued and stuff, but
Right.
imagine just being in like a tin can underwater, running out of oxygen with not enough like time to, I mean, not enough room to like move around or anything like that. And
Right.
to be like that for a handful of days, that's like, to hear that it was an implosion and it happened so fast that their brain couldn't even register that something happened. It's like literally 1 second, like, oh, the Titanic's over.
Yeah. If I low key wish to go out in that fashion at the end of the
Same.
day.
That's exactly what I was thinking. I'm like, that'd be great. Like, there'd be no like, no. I mean, not to take, not to speak ill of the dead or anything,
Of
but like,
course, of course.
because I was talking to my sister about it, because like, how they say that your brain remains active for like the next hour or two after you're dead. So it's like you can still hear and sense things after, like, once you're dead. They didn't do that. I mean, there's nothing left of their brains to like register, like, oh, we're dead.
Right.
It's
Or
like,
we're
it's just
told.
like, true. You got some of those theories lined up, Daniel?
Conspiracy theories?
Yeah, I mean, you said so we're told.
I
It's like a
think
good
I
segue.
think
Let
I
us.
think the government did it to press their policy on underground gun reform.
Okay.
Well, I think
I don't know. What are the conspiracy theories? I mean, what's
And it's
like? I don't know.
my
Like, I
hype
can't.
levels went.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out like what will be
well,
the conspiracy theories out of this.
I haven't
I
even
guess.
seen any myself, but just off the top of my conspiracy theorist head, I can come up with some weird like ones that, just based on the last conversations we've had about weird going ons that go on in the water. You never know what the fuck could be down there and what could have been involved.
Okay. So it's
But
like probably like Aquaman and
Aquaman or aliens, yes.
yeah, I'm guessing Aquaman.
Right, a merman.
Uh-huh.
But no, I think it was truly just a horrible accident. And things we didn't know about came to light like later and things like that. We find out that beforehand, the explorer had just sent a text to somebody that said, we've been experiencing bad weather conditions, and so like now we've been waiting to actually like depart.
Mhm.
And so they knew, you know, first off, the warnings were that it was like a janky ship to begin with. The guy had like jerry rigged several things on the thing. Then, but they hadn't had any accidents up until that point, so it was safe as far as we were aware. But then, you know, secondly, we find out that there's really, really bad weather concerns, and they still go and they do it anyways.
Mhm.
And you have to assume that that was maybe one of the big elements of them like being taken off course.
Oh, yeah. So I'm guessing they haven't even recovered. Have they recovered parts of the ship at least, or?
They've recovered pieces of it, and that's why they can claim that that they imploded, because it's just like bits and pieces of it have been floating around. I do find it interesting, though. This is where like more of my conspiracy theorist brain is starting to come into play. Is well, so they said they heard like banging sounds coming from the ocean, and they were trying to investigate the banging sounds at one point while they were believed to still be alive um because the oxygen hadn't run out yet, supposedly. That then they started to say they believed the banging was the implosion. The thing that the part of that gets conspiracy theory with me is they start to find these pieces like so soon after it's determined that like they would have been out of oxygen. Uh like they like were supposedly going to be out of oxygen like Thursday morning or something like that, and then by like Thursday afternoon, they started retrieving a piece or something like that. And it's like, okay, so like you guys are on the hunt for like 3 days straight. You guys can't find anything. And then like the second that it says time ran out, you guys like find something. Like that to me was kind of weird and suspect at just like the timing. But otherwise, like everything else kind of just adds up because it is just like such a dangerous thing to be doing in the first place, especially under like a janky privatized company like that.
Yeah, the poor kid didn't even want to go. The Pakistani son, I think he was like 18, 19 years old. He didn't even want to go. The only reason he did was because, and this according to either his mom or his aunt, is the only reason he even went was because it's Father's Day and he wanted to go with his dad. So that's kind of heartbreaking.
Oh man, that is tough.
Yeah.
But that kid, if he, I don't know, like he has, I don't know, desert first privileges from this point on because he didn't even want to go.
Poor kid. Yeah, I mean, poor every guy on that ship at the end of the day. Like, yes,
Well,
they
except
know
for the
it's
rich guy.
dangerous. Well, they're all rich
No,
because
well, I meant the CEO of
owner?
Oceanside. Yeah, the
oh
owner.
yeah,
Except for that guy.
the
Fuck that
CEO
guy.
guy. Yeah. I think he would have been obviously the most like well aware of the situation going down there, and that it was a bad idea and they did it anyways.
Yeah.
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 I mean, I think it's like even with any type of extreme sports or like bungee jumping, skydiving, there is an element that something can go wrong. And if that thing does go wrong and it's not fixable, then it could cost you your life. I think a lot of people that do these things kind of they don't want to think about it while they're doing it because they want to enjoy what they're doing. But I think at the end of the day, you do have to go in that there is a risk involved whenever you do these types of activities.
Right. Yeah, it's just it's tragic that it's tragic that it had to happen. It's like basically they had to make an example of themselves, you know, OceanGate, not not there. Unfortunately, some of those guys really do feel like they're just victims. But yeah, just tragic.
It's
You-
Aquaman. Let's just say it.
it
Let's
was
just say what
Aquaman.
we're.
It
Let's
was
just
for
say what
sure.
we're all thinking. It's Aquaman.
Aquaman.
Pat
You're
McAfee. I was watching the Pat McAfee show. Sorry, were you guys?
No, I was just say it's gonna Aquaman again or Ariel.
Promoting the sequel, Amber Heard really
Exactly.
fucked things up, so it's like we gotta really get things rolling.
I've heard some lousy pre reviews of Aquaman 2.
It's DC. I'm not surprised.
Yeah, and I also heard some
Sucks.
pretty weird mixed reviews for The Flash, which was getting a lot of rave pre reviews, and then all of a sudden, like a lot of people saying a lot of stuff about it.
Yeah, I haven't watched it myself to give it my opinion one way or the other, but I just know that the DCEU is a mess right now. So, and it's been a mess for a while. So thank God James Gunn is taking the wheel.
Straight up, I think
You should have took the wheel for the submarine, huh?
too soon.
Too soon.
In the controller.
Get him,
right?
guys. It's okay. We need the comments.
Yeah, right.
I mean, it didn't stop the internet. Have you seen the memes? The memes are fire. I'm sorry, but Jesus Christ.
I want to see James Gunn's DCU finally actually start to take shape, because the Flash technically still isn't part of it.
No.
I think Blue Beetle is going to be one of the biggest step ups for DC if they do it right.
I hope so. It's not because it's not connected to the DCEU, but right now I guess they're waiting and see, because they're like, yeah, Blue Beetle is the first character for the DCU, but it's not the first movie. So it's like they're in and out of it. So
let's just wait for James Gunn to do his thing.
I want Blue Beetle to succeed, So
I mean, I want all these movies to succeed. I mean, it's basically essentially my childhood, and then so it's like it would be dope if like every single movie was just like a banger. But I haven't seen The Flash myself, but I'm still gonna catch it.
We'll get him one day.
Yeah. But
how did we get on this?
Aquaman.
Something about Aquaman.
Daniel and Aquaman say like getting rid of the fucking submarine.
Something about
I try to bring it back with James Gunn running the submarine.
You did, and you brought it back nicely.
Yeah, no, I think I was just gonna say, it is just very dangerous. I was watching Pat McAfee's podcast, and they were discussing it, and he was like, man, white people gotta stop doing this shit, because you don't find anyone else doing this crap. It's just white people.
Well, weren't there two Pakistani people there?
There was still, but
Pakistani people.
But I get it.
It's really mostly white people.
I mean, I think it's like I think at a certain point in time, like if you develop enough like wealth and you've done most of the things that for normal people like us, we're like, oh yeah, let's do a trip to Machu Picchu. That's dope. But to them, it's just like, yeah, I flew there yesterday on my private jet. It's like they probably wanted like their level of like what excites them now is probably different from what excites us. So I think it's just like
it's like that meme or joke or whatever. So it's rich people, or like these people in particular, they finished all their mainline story quests. Now they're just doing side quests, and that's
exactly
shit.
The Titanic was his last side quest. You need to get that ability, but I don't know. But
mission incomplete.
But hopefully, yeah. I mean, like I said, there is a certain risk involved when you ever do these types of activities. I mean, it's unfortunate that it happened to them, but is it determined that they're not alive, or
for sure? And there's no.
I mean, no, like officially, like it's like.
Oh, well, I mean, if the implosion's real, and there's no body retrieval or anything, because there's nothing to retrieve.
Right.
Because I think like even though like it's like things look grim, I think someone has to like literally declare it. Like, yeah.
No, yeah. like the second that's part of why I felt like it was suspicious that they found the debris immediately after like the clock hit, it's like because then they immediately declared them dead also. And the thing was, yeah, they basically said once they got the debris they declared them dead.
Okay, so they're officially like declared deceased.
Right.
Okay.
And the thing is, like Hector said, it's like if the implosion's real, then for sure, like because they would have just been exploded immediately and splattered everywhere. If it wasn't an explosion, there's no one surviving those depths as long as they've been down there. Period. Like no matter how long they could try to get the oxygen to last or whatever.
Well, unfortunately, it had, like I'm just saying, like it's you do. Yeah, it's unfortunate.
It is unfortunate.
Man, that is. That's
Let's move on to another unfortunate topic. It's a little grim. We've got nothing but hot topics for the rest of the cast. Workers have died in Texas heat as Greg Abbott's water break ban comes under fire. So it sounds like Greg Abbott,
the water?
It looks as though they're claiming in order to try to restore power in Texas, they're trying to limit water usage. But Texas is freaking insanely hot right now. Texas, everywhere in Texas, it's like 94 to 106. Like
Jesus Christ.
Insane numbers, and people are dying. I mean, there's a lot of information here. It's mostly about the bill, which I kind of don't really want to get into. It just seems like it's a really like shitty thing if this water bill is the reason why people are dying. I mean, at the end of the day, you can't limit people's water in that kind of weather. Like that's that kind of weather. Those people need to be getting water shipped to them and using as much water they have accessible and stuff like that.
If they're having a power crisis and they have to control that stuff, isn't it? I'm not getting what the water ban is for. Is if they're just banning the water from people from.
I think, and this is just me scrolling the article, it's like literally just banning water breaks. So it's not like anything to do with power, unless you're talking about this guy's power trip. But like from a tweet is banning required rest breaks for construction workers in the Texas heat is deadly. So I'm guessing from that they just weren't allowed to take any water breaks because of this ban stuff.
Yeah, that's different. Yeah,
terrible. Yeah.
That's I think for that kind of stuff you should implement a policy where you should give them an extra at least 5-minute break. Just take a cool down session.
Or even just a fucking water break. Jesus.
I see where I got mixed up. But yeah, the one of the gentlemen that's died was trying to restore power to somewhere in Texas, and he was working outside. And
oh yeah, I see that. Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, that's garbage. That's just not letting people take water breaks when they're gonna die in 106-degree weather.
That is insane. Jesus Christ. Yeah,
I guess I mean, the closest I can come to, I mean, like, because Los Angeles we're all from Los Angeles and we haven't had our big heat wave yet, but I think this is kind of comparative, like Amazon workers. I think they're like there's like stories of them like for your 2-day, they run at such a crazy pace, and some people they just like, I think they have like a certain metric of how you measure like what you have to do for the day, and if you don't meet those goals, then you're essentially fired. And I think there's like some crazy cases like that. So I think this is like,
it's also partly on those kinds of rules. That's by that you're saying that's like regulations by the company. The company's
like eventually, like if I click on something and it gets to me tomorrow, like it says like they have to meet those demands. So like it's like a crazy work environment where it's like there's so much pressure on the people that's processing and delivering your things that yeah, like they don't take proper restroom breaks or anything like that. So like a lot of them, yeah, it's horrible, horrendous conditions. But thank you for getting me my shampoo
Yes,
tomorrow next day. So it's
How
just kind of
long?
like,
You gotta
yeah,
have that 2-day shipping, man. Screw your
I know.
restroom breaks.
I feel bad, but I'm just
That's
like, this is so
insane.
convenient. God, I was like, am I just feeding the beast? Or like,
Oh, for sure. But
yeah,
you shampoo.
yeah, but dude, like, I don't know, like it just
That's
seems like
terrible.
it's this is the time where like kind of like business ethics kind of like it hits a weird blurry line. It's like, are you like supplying a consumer's demand, or are you just really fucking up your workers or effing up your workers?
Yeah.
And in this case, killing them too.
Yeah.
In more heat related news, we
Oh
have
God, it's too hot.
I'm
it's gonna
fire.
be hot.
Yes.
In more heat
Yes.
related news, Canada's on fire. I think Canada's on fire. It's burning up just like most of California ends up catching fire eventually. Parts of Canada are on fire, and they're finding it harder and harder to find firefighters.
Damn.
Which is like very strange, but makes sense. A lot of people, it says it's becoming increasingly more difficult due to tight labor markets and the tough nature of the job. People don't want to fucking be firefighters. People don't want to have to deal with it. And I think that's a glaring reality of something that's going on more and more nowadays, is people are just not willing to do this kind of work because you're risking your life. I mean, it's hard to take up a job that you think could end your life.
I mean, isn't it kind of in the name? Like you would think firefighting would be a dangerous job. So I don't know. Like, do you think it's because of more of like, I hate to be that boomer or whoever, like the old person, like you kids get out, you're so lazy. Do you think is it a omen of a bigger issue, or is it just kind of like
No, I think we're
simply for the
just
fact?
smarter and not willing to like kill ourselves over
I
stuff.
mean, what would you do? What they do, which is like incredible work, for $22 the hour.
Is it $22 the hour?
Yeah, that's what I see here. So it's like I guess like for seasonal work, the basic pay would be it's just 30 Canadian dollars, and then it's like converted to like US dollars, which would be $22 the hour. Like wouldn't that would stop just about anyone from doing that shit.
But I mean,
like no thanks, I'll just go back to McDonald's
jobs
flip
for
burgers.
$22.
Yeah, you could do anything.
I said I've seen office assistant jobs for like $22 an hour, where you're sitting comfortably in your AC.
So do you think there's like a big shift in like the labor, where they're moving to more like less labor intensive jobs,
or safe jobs? Yeah, I think
finding better paying jobs.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just asking because I don't know. Like, it just seems like something that's going on in the U.S. where like you see like a lot of service jobs. Like everywhere I go, like even Starbucks or Jamba Juice, there's always a now hiring sign, and it just kind of, I don't know. It just feels like, oh, is there like going to be like this weird shift in the market? Because I know a lot of the service jobs are being taken over by automation, as opposed to like people don't want to do it. So I think a lot of times I don't know. I've just done like little reading here and there to kind of, but I'm not fully deep dived into it. But I think it's like, I mean, even with firefighters, it's a, like I said, it's a respectable, commendable job for you to risk your life to do something. I don't know, for everything to be, even teachers, I think don't get paid as much. And I think also the teacher job, I think a lot of teachers just love teaching, but I think also the politics of it is kind of what they have to answer to the school board, and they have to do certain things to their lesson plan that they feel like, I don't know, it just feels like something else is going on. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah,
it's Aquaman. I'm just gonna say it's Aquaman.
I think yeah, it's a combination of all the stuff that you've been saying, but on top of that, it's more so just us being smart enough nowadays to like know not to risk our lives over that kind of stuff, and like smarter. And also the jobs are just like the job market is changing so drastically that there's so many more jobs available now in other fields where it's like people that would take this kind of a job prior, it's because it was probably one of the only things that they could do with the qualifications they had. But now there's so many other jobs that like you can probably pick something that's less like life on the line for $22 an hour.
Yeah, because we do need firefighters. I think it's just, what do you think the solution to that will be?
Pay them more.
Yeah, I think that'd be, I think that makes a lot of sense. Like,
I mean, easier said than done, I'm sure, because there's like it's all in the budget, but really, paying them more would be a start.
Yeah. Well, there's, other careers, professions that I've seen that are known to be very dangerous, life threatening type of jobs, like the deadliest catch fishermen and the guys that scale like, half a mile tall poles and stuff
I
like
get
that.
panic attacks just seeing
Watching
those
those
fucking
videos.
pictures and videos.
Ugh.
Like, no fucking way.
But they get paid gigantic heaps
Dumb
of money for it.
dumb money, and they do it
It's
like
like-
twice a year, I think.
Yeah, and it's like the firefighters that are also risking their lives should be getting paid like heaps of money because they're
Mhm.
risking their lives.
sure.
That's what would correct
There's
it. Is
People
like
that
if
have
you're,
lost their jobs doing that, so it's I agree.
I think that's a huge part of like yeah, I mean, if you're gonna pay somebody that much because it's literally he's just risking his life, then you should be paying people that are risking their lives and doing like real humanitarian, real like cleanup work and stuff like that more, but inevitably I think part of the problem is that those are private companies paying those people, and this is going to be like a government agency that's going to have to try to fork out that kind of money. They're not going to do that.
Because I think everybody should technically get paid more. They should move along with the market. Like if inflation is higher, then I think it should move along with the market. I think statistically, like standard of living has gone up, but labor salaries have generally remained the same. So I think it's, that there has to be some type of change in that. I'm not arguing higher pay. I'm just saying there has to be a different, it's got to be like something more than that, because also like even with like in something in the medical field, if you're being a doctor because you're going to get paid so much money, I think that's the wrong reason to become a doctor, because healthcare in America seems like everything is so privatized and everything is so profit oriented. Like somebody I know had to have the ambulance called for him, and they just drove him like 2 miles and they sent him a bill for like $3,000. I'm just like, that doesn't seem like I don't know, people like money. I get it, it's important, but like when you hit something in the medical field, I believe you should have something you should have something in your mind, like I'm doing this to help people. Like I want people to be healthy, or I want to help them with their certain problems that they might be having with their health, So I don't know. That's just how I feel about things. I think the weird shift is nowadays, like even with what we're doing, it's like we get to now finally as a generation say like, what makes me complete? What makes my life? What do I get to do with my life that number one, I love doing and also get paid for? I think we hit that weird place that we're just like, I love doing this and I get paid for it. That's awesome. I think now like we hit that shift. There's like, because I think back then it was more of like my parents wasn't born in America. So they were just working off survival. They were just like, I just need to feed my dad was like, I just need to feed my family, feed my kid, and have them like, they send my kid off to college and I'm done. Like they weren't thinking like what I want to do, like what makes me happy. They were just like, I just got to make it work for my family, So I think it's a weird shift in paradigm. I don't know. It's just, I don't even know what I'm arguing anymore, but higher pay. Got it. Aquaman did it. Whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right. People have started to realize that they want to be happy. They want to be alive when they're working. people are tired of the grind and being unhappy with and unsatisfied with their jobs. Part of why we're doing a podcast, you know what I mean? Like people don't want to be firefighters. People don't want to do it. It's not a passionate thing for a lot of people. It's scary. It's very terrifying.
I mean, unless you come from a line of firefighters, then you probably want to carry on that tradition.
Yeah. Wrapping things up. It's hot out there, guys. It's 106 in Texas. It's 106 in Beijing right now, and they've just issued a red flag warning, which is the highest level of their heat warning system. You know, everybody stay cool out there. It's getting hotter and hotter, and I'm almost scared. But I think we'll make it again. This might be the last summer. Who knows? All right, y'all. Have a good week. It was or we'll see you Wednesday. Peace.
See ya.